Realmente hay que voltear un poco así, porque si le quieres algo a Fundora que está grandote, ¿qué le dices? Son de broma a la altura, ¿no? Pero ya hablando muy serio, claro. ¿Qué le dices a Sebastian Fundora?
Nos vemos en el verano, nos vemos en algún momento en el verano del 2025 y a todo Puerto Rico que tendrá un nuevo campeón del mundo en la 154.
Pues ahí está. ¿Algo más que le quieras decir a la gente?
Muchas gracias a todo México por también siempre apoyarme, siempre demostrarme cariño. Gracias a Puerto Rico, obviamente, a Latinoamérica. Gracias a ti, Amador, por siempre darme la oportunidad. Gracias. Y de nuevo, Puerto Rico tendrá un nuevo campeón del mundo. I'm here. Sebastian Fundora is the next target. I'm #1 at the WBO, and I'm ready to take over the titles.
Man, so say if you don't get that fight, can we see a fight with you and Jesus Ramos?
There's no option for him. He has to fight me or vacate, and if he vacates, I'll fight whoever is next, and whoever they put in the list. It doesn't matter who it is, but I want Fundora.
Okay. So a lot of people have been questioning, man, if you're ready or not, you know, if you're moving too fast or not. What do you have to say to the fans that feel like you're moving too fast or
I feel like everybody, you know, at some point has doubters, and at some point everybody, you know, don't believe in you. I believe in myself. My team believes in me. We know what we can do inside that ring, and we'll be ready to put on a show whenever, you know, we get that opportunity against Fundora.
All right, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you, Xander.
Thank you.
And just like that, when we thought we were going to figure out that Xander Zayas was the truth, we get this news really from his promoter directly after, and by promoter I mean Fundora's promoter, right after the face-off in the ring. We're going to talk about that in a second, but first, if you're new here, thank you for joining in on a conversation, clicking on this video. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you for, you know, just keep supporting this channel. I'm trying to get to 5,000. I asked ChatGPT, what do you think about my channel? And they said it's a terrible channel. No, I didn't say that. I just said that it's stagnant right now, and it ain't moving, it ain't going nowhere, and I'm trying to make this something, you know. It's usually, you know, I've done other things in my life, and I've accomplished most of those things, and it's one of those things in my bucket list that I want to try to make it a success at some sort of level. So, you know, I'm going to keep the passion going, and I hope you can join me and help me out. So please share and subscribe on this channel. It helps me out a lot. Now, let's talk about, real quick, Xander Zayas. Listen, I've been a very loud voice when it's about Xander Zayas, about, you know, he hasn't taken a top 15 guy yet, or a top 10 guy at some point, right? So now he finally gets to be the mandatory for the IBF title, right? Am I correct about saying that? He is, I think it's the IBF. The WBO, I'm sorry, the WBO. He's the WBO mandatory. So he goes into the ring after Fundora destroys Booker in about 4 rounds. And he goes in there and he gets, you know, he says what he says. You saw it in the beginning there. I played it for you. He said it in Spanish, but, you know, for those people that speak Spanish, I played it in Spanish, and then I just put the back end part where he also said it in English. He wants to be there. He wants to be there in June. And that was the play. The WBO let, you know, Xander Zayas get in there because they're giving Fundora 120 days to defend the mandatory against Zayas. So they have 120 days to come to an agreement. But directly after that, after he steps into the ring, his Fundora's manager, promoter, Samson Lekowicz, says, you know, he like to take the big fights next. He wants big money fights. He doesn't want small money fights. He says that Xander Zayas is not known outside, you know, New York, out of the island, Manhattan Island, and out of the Puerto Rican island, and this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. Problem is, at 154, bro, you ain't got nobody. You really don't have anybody there right now, as far as champions go, right? I mean, you have a whole lot of contenders. A whole lot. You know, champion Reese's Charlo, he'll have to come back on some sort of another tune-up because, you know, he hasn't fought anybody in a long time. But you have as far as contenders and stars in the making, it's deep. Excuse me. As far as champions, there's no one there. There is no one there because, okay, so now check it out. So you go in there, you have Xander Zayas, right? He's the mandatory for WBO. Then you have the WBA, or used to be the WBA champion, Terrence Crawford. He vacated that title. He's the interim. He's not going anywhere. He's going to go to 168. He's going to retire. He's not coming back to 154. He didn't look good against the Dream. He's not going to try to fight again at 154 or at 160. He's going to go to 168, win, lose, or draw. So he ain't coming back. So he let that go. So that's vacant. So it depends on who they it's not vacant. I think that's the interim. If I'm not believing for Charlo. No, not for Charlo. I think that WBC's Charlo. But either way, he was interim. So they're going to have to mandate another interim fight for someone at some point. So at that point, whoever that is, you know, Fundora can just capture that interim, I guess, if he wants to. But I don't know how much, you know, that's worth to him. because it'll be against a nobody, unless it's like Ortiz or somebody like that. Then you got Barker Murda. He's there for the IBF, and he's also a known nobody, right? As far as outside of his own country and upsetting Tszyu, nobody knows who he is, right? So you have this dilemma now where they're talking about big fights. Well, he's gonna go up to 160. That's the only time there's some people there, but it's not a deep division just yet. And then there's 168. Now that division is a little popping, with Caleb Plant, with Berlanga, and those boys up there, Canelo. There's a lot of guys up there, right? But I think he wants to stay at 154. He said he wants to be undisputed. But his promoter saying it's only big fights, but the big fights are with the contenders and not with champions, right? So either he's gonna, if he's not gonna take a fight with Murder, because that's a risky fight for Fundora, right? I mean, I think he can win, but that's a risky fight to take in and of itself. So why would you risk that fight, right? If you're saying you want big money fight, Spence ain't coming out no time soon. I think Spence is actually done. By the time Spence decides to come back, I think it'll be over. You have now Thurman is another option, more than likely. But I doubt it. I doubt that. That's something that Thurman was going to want to take at that point. So I mean, at this juncture, the biggest fight to make is either with Ortiz or with Xander Zayas. Now Zayas, you hold it in New York, you're gonna get a sellout crowd. You hold it in Puerto Rico, you're gonna get a sellout crowd. You're gonna make money. Now, as far as pay-per-view numbers, you're probably not gonna get that much, but you're not gonna get any more with Burkham, Murtazaliev, or with or anybody else. So I mean, at that point, and like I said, and whoever the interim champion is gonna be, you're not gonna get. If you go for that title for the WA interim, you're not gonna get a big name either. Now, if Charlo comes back, he's not gonna go and fight, Fundora right off the rip. He's gonna want to take a tune-up. So at that point, you're gonna be sitting down again for another year. So at this point, I think the only thing that you could do is fight Zayas. I say fight Zayas now because I think he has a better chance to beat Zayas right now than letting it marinate. You let that fight marinate, Zayas gets better. Zayas gets older, and it'll just be a matter of time for Zayas to get to that level. You get past him now, kind of like Floyd Mayweather did with Canelo, where he fought him at a very young age. That was the right move. Another year or two later, and then that fight is a little different. I still think maybe Floyd pulls it off, but still it'll be a different fight altogether. So I think now what he should do is just basically get in the ring with him. I commend Xander. Xander's like, nah, this is my time now, and plus you'll find out what Xander's made out of, right? I don't know what I was criticizing because I don't know what he's made out of. He's looked okay in some fights, he looks excellent in others, but it's all against C+, B- opposition, right? He's never been in there with an A-list fighter, a top 10 fighter, a top 2, top 3, top 4 fighter. I wanted to see him up against this, and this is a day and age, kind of like they say YouTube is no longer about subscribers, right? Boxing is no longer about championship belts either. You can make big money. Look at Ryan Garcia, never been a champion, right? Making big money. So you don't need a championship, to make big fights. So Ortiz and Xander Zayas would be a big fight. You understand what I'm saying? So Fundora versus Ortiz, Fundora versus Zayas, those are big fights. I think Lekowicz, it's not looking at the bigger picture. I think he's still looking at it old school. But he should take a page from Ryan Garcia and how he's managed his career without yet any sort of belt around his waist, right? He would have had the WBC, but again, with the Austrian situation, he wasn't able to get it. But or for Haney. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. I think that they should get this fight over with now. It's a good fight. It's a great fight, actually. And we'll finally get to see what Zayas is about. We already know what Fundora is about. We've seen him in war, so we've seen him knocked out. We've seen him drag out fights. We know he has the heart and the gameness of a game dog, but we don't know nothing about Zayas, and I think Fundora is the guy who's gonna bring that out of him. Pause. So then when it comes down below, what do you think? Do you think that the Fundora crowd goes another direction and takes like a murder, even though? And if it's a murder fight, I'm not gonna be mad at it because there's unification, and I'm not mad at that. But if he takes like an interim, WBA interim winner takes the interim championship belt of a nobody, then I don't know what to tell you about that. But let me know down below what do you think should be the next move, and I'll see you in the next video, and I'm out. Peace.